Collie, can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, and I can see you now. Yes. Um,
Yeah, cool.
okay. Well, thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah,
Um,
no problem.
it's something I've wanted to do for quite a while. Like your Mesmerica album really it got a lot of airplay a couple years ago for me. Got me
Oh, cool.
through things,
Yeah.
influenced me in positive ways, I think, to make some changes in my life. So yeah. Um,
Oh,
so I'm excited. Um, yeah, so we'll jump right into it. Um,
yep.
uh-oh. Okay. Sorry,
Okay.
something popped up on my computer that I've never seen before. So,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
but it seems fine. Um, Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, like I was saying, we'll jump right into it. I don't like to read someone's bio and say, well, this person you could see on Much Music and MTV holding a megaphone and he dumped water on the ice water on the deputy prime minister of the UK.
Yeah.
Um, I like uh, I like to have you uh, tell the people who you are. And oh, I live in a rural area, and some of those people listen, and they won't know who Danbert Nobacon.
Okay. Yeah.
So, talk about, introduce yourself, and then let people know what your purpose on this planet is, or what you like
Okay.
to think of yourself as.
Okay. Yeah. So, I go by Danbert Nobacon, and I'm originally from Northern England, a smaller town north of Manchester called Burnley. Uh, and in the late 70s, that's where me and my pals uh were just in the right place at the right time when punk rock happened in reached the smaller towns, and we had a band for a couple of years. Uh and that fell apart, and then it basically we formed Chumbawamba, uh and we moved to Leeds. And Chumbawamba has a long long history,
Yeah, and I'm
which
sure we'll get into some of that.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And then in 2004, I was married to an American called Laura, and she lived in England for 12 years, and we had twins. But when the Chumbawamba Electric Band was done in 2004, she wanted to move to the US back. She's from Delaware, but she went to Evergreen College in Olympia, which is produced some radical people in its time.
yeah.
And she knew people out here. So I live in a small mountain town called Twisp, which is 45 miles from the Canadian border as the crow flies, 4 hours northeast of Seattle. So we lived here since 2007, and I've been doing music and theatre and writing projects, as well as having a garden and other things, and learning
Okay.
about wildfire and irrigation, which
Yeah.
I guess they're having wildfires in England a little bit now, but certainly not when I lived there. But here it's like it's actually clear today, but we've had really bad smoke. There's a huge fire 40 miles away. And in the past, we've had to evacuate, when it's been bad. So, yeah, in the last couple of years, so I continue to make music as my prime focus, really. When I record, I try and record with a full band, but it's just more practical when I go on tour to go solo. I don't really have
Okay.
the bandwidth to organize a band on tour, and there's zero money in it for people who are, the musicians. I mean, I do pay people when we record. Uh, and the last couple of years, I've done more. I was teaching theatre at the high school, the local high school, for 9 years, but
Hmm.
I'm no longer doing that, and I just have more time to tour. And I found a guy in Portland who can book shows for me, and I'm rubbish at booking shows. So I'm playing more than I've ever played since I've lived in America. Probably like 50 something shows a year, which is, I mean, Chumbawamba, we were doing like 120 shows at the height.
Wow.
Uh, so yeah, so I'm about to go to the East Coast, playing Philadelphia, a 50th anniversary of the Clash,
Yeah.
when the Clash formed, which is kind of scary in a way, because I was probably I got their one of the first albums I got was their first album as a teenager, and yeah, and then I'm going to go up into Canada and play in Tilsonburg at the Buddies Fest,
Yeah.
Ontario. Yeah,
And I hope to get to that, but I don't know. It's a bigger thing than I want to go to right now. I'm
yeah,
I'm kind of relaxing this summer, and it's like
yeah.
it's a big thing for people around here. It's a
Mhm.
really good festival, but I don't know whether I'm in the mood for a big
No,
festival. Like if I can, if you were playing like a pub near there or something, I'd probably
yeah,
go to that. Um,
yeah, and I have done. I've been up there a couple of times, not for the festival, but Ben, who organised it, he's organised like a string of a handful of dates for me.
yeah, I
But
remember
yeah,
finding out about that right after the last ones. It was like, it was, oh shit. But yeah, so okay. I have some themes I kind of want to touch on with
okay,
you because well, a strong theme that I've seen, I've been looking at old interviews, I've been listening to the new songs, and community has always been um, something uh, that I've seen in Chumbawamba and in what influenced Chumbawamba. And even I was watching Dunstan's film, I Get Knocked Down Again, and
yeah,
there's an interview in there with your parents, and
oh yeah,
there's
yeah,
there's a brilliant bit where your parents, right after the John Prescott water soaking, um, they had press coming to the house, and there's a, a something that they said they did that really, um, like my dad would have just told the press, "Get the fuck out of here." I'm not.
yeah,
But they invited them in for tea.
yeah,
And I think that says something about maybe the community you were like prior to punk, like the way you were raised. Were you raised with a good sense of community um, right from the
uh,
start?
I yeah, I think so. My parents were war babies. They were children during the Second World War. And they in the old kind of traditional way where most people met their future wife or husband within a 10-mile radius. They were like 7-mile radius, so there was strong family in Burnley, the town I grew up in. But it was also, I was born in the early 60s, and TV, we didn't initially have a TV when I was born, but I think we got one when I was a little kid, and we had radio and record player. Uh, uh, but things were changing. So, we initially, my mum took us to Sunday school, church, but me and my brother just protested so much she gave up. So, whereas they grew up with a church community, me and my brothers didn't. We were the first generation, I guess, where the church ceased to be the center of community. So, they had were community minded, and the neighbors. We lived in a row house, so we our first friends were the neighbors' kids, kind of thing. So there was a sense of community, but also a sense of change, and not quite the alienation that exists today. I don't think by any means, but maybe the first steps along that route. But and then you find friends at school, and punk rock, was a formative community for me in Burnley. From believing you had to be classically trained to play a guitar. Suddenly, punk rock comes along, learn three chords, and it literally changed my life, and I've been doing it ever since. Uh, and then Chumbawamba were part, in Leeds, where we were based in a bigger city to the east. Uh, were there was a punk anarchist squatter community in Leeds that we were part of, and then the wider community of supporting various uh, resistance movements, whether it's striking coal miners or hunt saboteurs in the early days, and we were always kind of tied in a way that I don't know if a lot of bands are, because we were always, the first few years we more or less entirely did benefit shows for various groups. But even, when we became more famous or bigger, we still related to various struggles going on in the community that powers those struggles. So yeah, I do think it's important. And then living here in a small town, it's very community based. People. There's a lot of retirees from Seattle. It's 4 hours from Seattle, and it can be quite difficult to get here in winter if we get a lot of snow. So it's just far enough away. But a lot of those people, they come here looking for community, and they find it. And I mean, in some ways, it's good because there's a local newspaper, a local theatre, which wouldn't exist if some of these people didn't come and share some of the money that they've made in their lives in probably in the tech industry in Seattle. I don't know, but yeah.
Continuing on the community theme, one of like it gets said all over. One of the big punk influences on Chumbawamba was seeing Crass, and uh, that they had a community aspect to that around Dial House.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but in some ways, I look at that and it almost seems like Chumbawamba took that and ran with it in the way that you ran the band, and in a democratic sort of way. And that's what we're always hearing. Was it as democratic as we're always hearing? Was everything?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, from the uh, we saw Crass play a couple of times, but we'd already started a band, and then the whole anarcho punk thing was happening in Britain, and we just tapped right into that. And we squatted a house, so we all lived in the same house. Basically, if you were in the house, you were pretty much in the band, or uh, we could rehearse there, and we were all getting benefit, unemployment, and then going and playing shows, and we took that, and uh, from the very early, the earliest thing was, oh, you can join, a music publishing society, and you'll get like 50 quid a year if you've put a record out. So we did that. So from the very start, we if you were on the record, it was an equal share. And then, when we started making money after the big album, we officially became legally a collective. And, a lot of bands, I always think of Oasis, the two brothers, where Noel was the songwriter, and his brother and the other two band guys got so much less money than he did. He got twice what they were getting because he's down as the sole songwriter, and it just caused horrific arguments, and they split up, and then of course they reform whatever. Uh, and we never had that because we just okay, if you're on the record, if you're doing the tour, it's an equal partnership. Uh, and then we would have band meetings. So in terms of democracy, uh, and I think the most contentious ones were when, well, signing to a major label, we went back and forwards for months over that. And it was a case, a couple of people wanted to do it and the rest didn't. And it was a case of putting forward arguments to convince everybody that it's a good idea. So, there might be things we did where I wasn't super happy with that, but other people were. But I think I can compromise. So,
So,
in a sense, yeah, very democratic.
okay. Well, were you one of the people who was into it from the beginning, signing to the major label, or did you have to be
Uh,
convinced?
I think I was on the fence a little bit, and
Okay.
then as it, we discussed it and the potential of it. We just thought, and I think the thing which swung it was, we were like in the 80s, we were like totally hardcore, not hardcore music, but punk rock DIY, and then we had our own label, and then we were on a bigger independent label in Britain.
Mhm.
And then, after 10 years, we wanted to do it full time as a job, touring, and we made money and a little bit of money from records. And uh, one of the things that was driving us was okay, we're this band, and we love pop culture, the Beatles, whatever. Uh, so really, we should be trying to, tap into pop culture rather than be on the outside of it, and it was a more honest thing, really, because and we were becoming, we had a, we had a following, and we were getting into the lower reaches of the BBC charts when we put out a single. So when the opportunity came, and the major labels were in Europe and America, not Britain, because they knew our reputation for being troublemakers. So it was kind of interesting, and we just thought, we'll do this for a year, and then they'll drop us because we'll put our foot in it or burn our bridges, and that's exactly what happened. But it lasted a bit longer than a year.
Yeah.
Uh,
The
we just
I
saw it as a chance in the end to address mainstream pop culture, and we did, and in a unique way, I think, as it turned out.
yeah. I remember as a fan, being one of those punks who was like kind of what are you guys doing? Why are you
Oh yeah,
doing that? But still love the music, and I was thinking
yeah.
about it today, how it's kind of funny. It became for a little while, listening to Chumbawamba was kind of like hiding masturbation from your parents or whatever.
Oh
You you'd listen to it over here. You wouldn't let the community know, but it was
yeah.
still
Oh,
great music.
oh,
And then
that's
after a while, it was like, I don't care. It's great music.
yeah,
It's so it's very much like masturbation that way. After a
yeah,
while, you're like, I don't care. I masturbate, and I don't
yeah,
care. I listen to Chumbawamba.
yeah. And
um,
that that album was finished before we signed to a major. We wrote it.
yeah,
I mean, the next one, we were totally on a major label, and it didn't fly for
yeah,
them commercially. Even though I think it's a great album, but
hmm yeah. I think yeah. When I look back at it as a fan, I kind of question what really what. And you were making different music by that point already than like
yeah,
the punk bands making their our 7-inch singles and getting, you were doing something on a totally different level by that point already. So
Hmm.
I want to talk too about, because you're really, the new albums really stick to it and bring it out. Chumbawamba always had the theatrical portion, um, but like the Axis of Dissent albums that you're doing now,
Yeah.
um, they really sort of revel in it. And you even sing about it, like Crazy Demons Play
Oh,
is a
yeah.
great song where you're talking about the need for that sort of playfulness in amongst the message. Um, and could you just talk a bit about like how you blend that, why you blend that? Because I think it's an important aspect of what you do.
Yeah, definitely. So I right before Chumbawamba went full time as a band, we all had part-time jobs, or I was in school for 2 years in Leeds studying children's play. And I just stumbled into it because the unemployment were like, oh, you've got to get a job, or and I don't know how I found it, but I thought I'll try this. It sounds like interesting, and I totally loved it. And had Chumbawamba not taken off, or had we not decided to pursue it full time, I might have gone into that field academically, the study of children's play. And it's mind boggling. Play is older than history. And how do we know that? Because animals play were existed before Homo sapiens did. Uh, and it that doing that uh, college course, and as you said, Chumbawamba were very theatrical, and interestingly, quite a few of us have migrated towards theatre since Chumbawamba. I taught theatre at the local high school here for 9 years, and so that theatrical, I want to try and bring that to the records. So particularly the last two albums have a theatrical current running through them. And also, I read a lot of books relating, and I think this comes from the play, studying play, about human evolution. And we were talking about community. And, if there's been a revolution in the knowledge about our human origins in the last 50 years, which kind of parallels the what I call the class war from above, where corporations got organized and basically in America took over the government and the Supreme Court, and just it's like legalized bribery. And their thing is, rugged individualism, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, whatever. But human, the story of human evolution is community. And I sometimes tell this story when I play live. So I play solo, I play songs, but I do talk a lot. And one of the songs on Mesmerica, Bringing Up B.B.B.B.E, which is an acronym
Mm,
B.B.B.B.E, bigger
yep.
brain babies born earlier. There's this thing in evolution, and they call it a literal evolutionary bottleneck. When our ancestors started walking on two legs, the pelvic canal narrows, and it's just an evolutionary trade-off of walking on two legs. And that was fine until our ancestors discovered bone marrow, and the baby's brains, the brains started getting bigger, and it was uh, a bottleneck to fit through the pelvic canal. So the babies are born early, which necessitates a community to raise them to the age where they can go on arm and have babies and prolong the species. So our whole human history is based on, the idea that it takes a band of hunter gatherers to raise a child. Uh, and I think we all have that instinct, and there's debate whether it's instinct or learned or both. But people are yearning for community wherever you go, and capitalism uh, really wants to destroy community. So that's we have this huge tension in our lives, uh, and I try and address this on the records and theatre and humor, which Chumbawamba used a lot, is a great way of trying to do that.
Yeah. You mentioned something at the end there, and uh I don't know, I don't think there's really a dark side to community, but you mentioned something um that like, and I was in my notes, I had something about bigger born baby born earlier, because it, of those social connections. Um, some of the people, we have them here in Canada, but like they're very MAGA-ish, and they're I I kind of want to be empathetic, but I don't want to give them too much. But we're all looking for that social connection. Humans do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and I
Um,
think you're right. The
like
MAGA
Mega
crowd.
provides that for some
Yeah,
people. And that's
yeah,
sometimes why I think people who are otherwise really intelligent will kind of fall for that. Like they
yeah,
it gives them that community. And
yeah. So I think you're right. I think there is a dark side, if you like, that uh the history of human cultures since the invention of agriculture, at least, uh it, you know group identity became very important. And I guess as technology improved and the weapons of war or violence, when there's a stress, it can descend into violence. Uh, but yeah, it is a danger, but it's also the way forward.
yeah,
A global community, if you like, is what I aspire to. Whereas the sort of maggot type authoritarian community is very inward looking.
yeah,
Uh, but I think it comes from the same instinct, and it just gets distorted by
yeah,
you know people, leadership, really, who are just cynically manipulating that instinct to serve their political goals. It's the
yeah,
thing, like it's that. I think the basic thing, like like in America, there's this demand for Medicare for all, and
mhm,
it comes from the progressive and the left, and it includes MAGA. If we get Medicare for all, you get it. But
yeah,
MAGA is, well, we want this, and we don't want these other groups to have it, and that's the
yeah,
basic distortion, I think.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it's almost it's like they want community, but it's a limited community.
yeah, yeah,
It's so yeah, and you mentioned cynicism there. And I look at the work you're doing now, like it's the same uh from 40 years ago, you're still singing about I see the themes as ways to improve life for the community again. Like you've
yeah.
always been uh, positive that way, and we see things get better. We see things slide back. And you've got like 40 plus years of watching that. Um, how do you keep cranking out? Um, great music on these themes when it seems like Miss America is a great album. You hit the themes really well. You um I don't know whether you really did, but I was doing research for a paper. I'm back in school, and I wanted to use anthropocracy in there. You
Oh, yeah.
invented that word,
Yeah.
according to the, and so I had to use cite you as a source when I
Oh,
was using that in a paper. Um,
oh.
but you still do all this great work, but how do you not become cynical and just go,
That is a
fuck
good
it?
question. Because when I play, I'm usually the oldest person in the room. So and I tell stories about early Chumbawamba, and we formed in we were in England, so it was Margaret Thatcher, but Ronald Reagan, and it was the start of what we are now living through. But at the time, we're like, this is as bad as it can possibly get, surely.
Yeah,
And it's just got worse and worse. And particularly, when I moved to the US, Obama had it was just the end of George W. Bush, which we thought surely can't get any worse than that. And then Obama comes in and just treads water. And, I was writing essays. I had some online essays published, criticizing the military industrial complex or big oil, because the climate catastrophe then was evident.
yeah.
We were starting to get these severe weather events uh, in the early 2000s. And, the Obama administration were trying, but not really getting anywhere and being frustrated by the Republicans as well. But also being bought off by big oil,
Mhm.
which is what they do. They buy off enough Democrats so that nothing ever gets done. And then, of course, Trump gets elected, and I just couldn't. I was doing an album, the Stardust to Darwin Stuff album, uh, and we were supposed to be done recording in October 2016. Uh, and we went over into November, and the election happens, and Trump gets elected, and I'm like, I got to put something on the record about this. So I rewrote the lyrics to an older song and put that on there, and then I just couldn't not comment, through art on what's been happening ever since. The basic slide into fascism now in America. I mean, it's insane.
Mhm.
Uh, and maybe I thought, well, I've been training for this all my life.
Yeah.
The whole history of being in Chumbawamba and being part of an activist community, it means I can't ignore it. Uh, and it's a skill, a lane, I guess, that I have that I feel I should be trying to use for good, for the greater good.
This brings up something. I went to see Billy Bragg about a month ago, and in his set, he was talking about uh, oh, everyone knows him, old folk singer. This machine
Woody
kills
Guthrie.
fire. Woody Guthrie, yes,
Yeah.
just slipped my mind. But he was talking about the this machine kills fascists um,
Hmm.
on the guitar, and then he said, "You know what? I hate to tell you, but that guitar never killed any fascists. It's you people out there taking the message and moving on with it that would and maybe joining a union, changing things through
Yeah.
that, or and at first when he was saying that, I was like, I took it wrong. I thought that he's saying art doesn't make the change, or doesn't change anything. But then I went home and I thought about it. No, he's saying art might inspire the change, but we make the change. And so I'm hearing like from you something on that theme again, because you had to get out there, make your art, make your music to say this with the hope that someone would listen to it, someone would see it and go, yeah, I something's got to be done. And I I am like I played in punk bands, but I I'm coming at this also as a journalist, and I've written for newspapers, and I did do articles that got some DEI legislation into local government and things like
Yeah,
that. And I I I had a point to this. I'm
yeah,
going somewhere with it. Yeah, when you're saying about feeling that need to write about it, you just feel compelled to do it. Um, what are you, I, you're probably not thinking just because I'm going to write this song, it's going to fix everything. But what, what do you, I guess I'll ask it like that. What do you get out? When you write those songs because you have to get them out, um,
yeah,
what does it do for you and as the artist involved?
yeah. Uh, so, like I said, I stumbled into punk rock really as a teenager, and the magic of it was, performing in front of people. I was so shy as a teenager; it just unlocked something in me. You don't need punk rock or politics to experience that feeling, that euphoria of playing in front of people and the getting a response, and the audience are as much part of it as the performer. It's the same in theatre. Like scientists have like put monitors on the audience members in theatre, and everybody's heartbeat syncs together
Mhm.
in the performance if people are engaged. So that is the thing that I find I could do, but the political side of it, is another level, and I have doubts about it whether it's having any positive effect on people, and it was the same with Chumbawamba. We only we'd play a show and have a great time, and people would have a great time. But then occasionally we'd get a letter off somebody who was really inspired beyond, just having a good time dancing at a gig. It touched something, and you can't really measure that. Uh, and the shows I play now are very small. They're just in pubs and small community places. But you talk to people, and like talking to you now, and uh, which is uh, very, for me, I got that feeling when you mentioned earlier on that you'd listen to my albums post Chumbawamba, because most podcasts I do, and I don't mind really, but the people just want to talk about Chumbawamba and not what I've been doing since. So it's good for me that people are actually hearing what I'm doing. I don't know how many people or whether that matters, if it's but yeah, it's just a very human thing, I think, to put things out there as a performer,
Mhm.
and whatever your I won't say agenda. I don't really see it as an agenda. It's just I want to share these ideas about what's going on, and if people respond, then great, and probably some people don't. I don't usually get much antagonism when I play. And it's funny, in America, it's different to England. Like most pubs, they'll have a back room or an upstairs room, but when I moved here, I was playing in front of people who were eating dinner, which was very alien to me, the local venues. So it could be anybody in there, of whatever politics. And I don't, and where I live, we have the whole spectrum. Teaching theatre in the high school, the students, even from the kind of Republican Christian fundamentalist end of the spectrum, uh, are more open than their parents are, which I
Okay.
find, they're just not as racist, because they're people of color or whatever, or trans people, and I'm not saying they're, not antagonistic when they're in their group or whatever, but
Mhm.
we always had more problems from the parents than the students.
Okay. Yeah. Now I've seen some um YouTube footage of you playing maybe at protests and things too. When you're living 4 hours away from do you get the chance to do that sort of performance much out there or
Not really. I mean, there are protests here. They have a weekly protest, which is it's kind of a no kings thing, but it's just, we have a progressive element in this community who are
Hmm,
very upset with what's going on in the country. Uh, and we had the Black Lives Matter protests, but also at that time, the police chief's wife organized Blue Lives Matter.
okay.
So, we were on opposite sides of the street
Yeah.
and everybody knows each other. So people were crossing the street to go and talk. And there were far
Okay.
more Black Lives Matter than Blue Lives Matter protesters. Uh, and their son was in the drama class. So it was kind of interesting.
Okay.
Uh, but, and living in a small community, I mean, the police chief, he says hello to me and I say hello to him. And, I've never experienced that in a city. In a city, we always, when the Chumbawamba house got raided by the cops, and then one of the cops recognized us walking down the street and
Mhm.
just on a whim took us and strip searched us and blah blah blah. But uh, yeah, but there's not really. I mean, there was a huge a Canadian company actually wanted to start. There's copper in the Cascade Mountains,
Okay.
and they wanted to reopen some old mines and explore the possibilities. And it was above the main watershed of the
Okay.
60-mile valley. There's three towns, and you look at any copper mine has been, and when when people make sci-fi films and they're looking for an alien landscape, they go to a copper
Yeah.
mine. Uh, and it would, but I want to say 98% of the community were against it because there's just
Okay.
one road. The trucks would have been going down, the river would have been polluted. So there was like some benefits for that, and not really protests, but there is an element here that wants to preserve, the natural kind of beauty,
Okay.
uh,
So is it a
environment.
small mountain town that you're in or
Yeah, but
so
there's a couple of towns either side, 10 miles down the road, 10 miles up the road, and a smaller
okay.
little hamlet. So they say there's 6,000 people in the valley, the 60-mile valley. And then we get a lot of tourism, and in winter skiing, cross country skiing. Uh, so that's kind of the main, used to be sawmills and whatnot, but it's kind
Okay.
of reinvented itself.
So it's interesting. Size wise, you've seemed to end up in a place roughly like the place I've spent my um whole life in, but we're surrounded by agriculture. And it's not really a touristy place, but
Yeah,
it's small town. The culture is probably very much the same. Like it's a conservative Christian area. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, when you're talking about where you are, and yes, we get snowed in the winter here. It's like
yeah,
you've mentioned that. So it sounds very similar in a lot of ways. The size, the culture, um, even though we're like, yeah, so I can relate when I hear you talking about the town. I can look out the window and picture roughly what
yeah.
it so that's interesting where you've ended up to me.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's kind of a tangent, really. I've been here almost 19 years now, so I think I'm pretty, and I travel, so but I do like to have somewhere to come back to, and a
Yeah.
base.
Well, we did it in a slightly different way. So um
Yeah.
uh we got to it though.
Oh, good.
But a big point in one of on the last album, um you start off it with fun changes and I've been going to I'm starting university in the fall and for philosophy, but one of the themes that I think about, you touched on very succinctly. It's just I mean, it's pretty obvious that nothing will fundamentally change unless, you know, something,
Yeah,
because we're going in the wrong
yeah.
direction right now.
Oh yeah, and I think you look at history and people map these cycles of 70 or 80 years, and it does feel like we are within the next few years, really, we will hit some kind of tipping point politically. Uh, and whether that's triggered by, which, is highly likely, just even more intense climate events,
Yeah.
which, the scientists have predicted, and we're heading down that path.
Hmm.
Or, there'll be some kind of movement from below here against the kind of authoritarianism. Uh, but I do think, there's no way the way that capitalism is gobbling up resources. I mean, the AI data centers things just
Oh,
seem to come
yeah.
out of nowhere, and it's like
Yeah.
the total opposite. The amount of energy and water they consume when we need to be using less carbon energy and conserving water. It's the exact opposite of what needs to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and why are they doing it? Just so they can store more data and surveil us even more than they're doing already.
Yeah. It's
It's just bonkers. So I think we're going to see some shifts, in the next 5, 10 years, but it might get a lot worse before it
yeah.
gets any.
And then we always talk about pendulum shifts.
Yeah,
And it's I that was one of the themes on the Mesmerica album that really caught me was with the environment being damaged the way it is, it kind
yeah.
of if we swing back politically, it may not matter because
It may not
we
matter.
don't
No.
have a fucking planet to live on. There's no planet B. It's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
quite the world
Uh,
we're
you
living
know,
in.
yeah. I'm still an optimist, really.
Yeah. Okay.
The human collective community spirit can turn it around, but we
Yeah.
are in a critical stage, definitely.
Yeah.
But
Okay. So, um, it's great that you let me talk to you for, uh,
yeah,
and I do hope I get to see you when you're up here, but I don't know whether that'll happen. Um,
yeah.
so, yeah, is there anything else going on in your life that you want to talk to people about? Get out there, or
Uh, yeah, I mean, it's just more of the same, really. I'm on to. I've been, I'm heading off to the East Coast and then Canada, and then I'm going to England. My parents are still alive, so I've been going there more. And whilst I'm there, this place in London called Mayday Rooms have set up. It was initially going to be a Chumbawamba archive, but it's become more of
okay,
an arco punk archive. So I'll be there. I have some materials. I'm going to bring them, and I think they're going to host me to play there. Uh, and yeah, and then in October, going into November, I have a 3-week tour around the West, uh,
okay,
and it's ahead of the midterm elections, and all the signs are that the Trump administration are going to either rig the elections or have ICE troops at the election stations, and uh, they're trying to create this narrative which has descended in the past week into like a red scare.
yeah,
Oh, Mamdani is a communist, so these are evil people, and we got to bring in all these emergency measures to shut them down. So it's going to be very interesting. I think. I don't think all the things I've lived through. I don't think I've had a sense of, okay, this is like really really dangerous. This period we're going into. So yeah, I'm kind of following that.
okay,
uh,
yeah. I think we all are. We're um,
yeah,
outside the country. We're still because yeah, it's really affecting relationships between Canada
yeah.
and
Oh
the
yeah, I
US.
think.
It's weird. It's hard to be unpatriotic Canadian.
Yeah, no, I
All of
was
a sudden
there.
we
I was there about a year ago, I think. So yeah, we were in the early days of Trump 2.0, and I was just talking to people in Ontario, and they're like, "Yeah, we usually go to the US once or twice a year, but we're not going to
yeah,
go. We don't want to go. Why would we want to go?"
yeah, that's
Uh,
exactly
and
what
I totally agree. You know, I can see it.
yeah. We
Yeah.
just opened the new Gordie Howe Bridge
Oh, I saw
and
that. Yes.
we're
Yeah.
all like, well, I'd like to go. Detroit's a great city.
Yeah.
There's a lot of culture there. There's some really cool things there, but I don't want to cross that bridge. I just
No.
that's a bridge too
No. I
far.
mean,
That's
here as well, it's decimated the tourist industry. You know
yeah,
what they're doing, but yeah, it's just so counterproductive.
yeah.
But
Well, anyways, it's been awesome to talk to you and yeah, have a great tour and I'm
yeah,
gonna try and get this up uh some probably early next week it'll be
okay, brilliant.
online.
Yeah,
So yeah.
brilliant.
So
Thanks, Colin. I totally appreciate it, and I love that you go in a bit deeper than a lot of the other people.
okay.
So yeah, respect to that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I'm glad you were willing to go deeper. Um
Yeah,
so so yeah. Yeah, I really hope that I do get to maybe see you in person at Buddy's Fest, but I don't know yet.
yeah. If not this time, I'll probably be back up there because my guy up there, he likes to bring me up there every so often. So
Okay.
yeah,
Awesome.
cool.
So, all right. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Take care.